All the items in the chart that Bitcoin is going to interact with over the next 24 to 48 hour are right behind me. Harry Potter cloak. Here we go. This is what we're going to cover. And in today's video, I'm going to address the idea that there is not much of an edge in the micro timeframes. However, what I can let you know is if certain thresholds are crossed from a very short-term price action standpoint, you will have an edge to the upside or to the downside, and I'll tell you what those pivot points are. But please know, as a disclaimer, any type of edge that you might see on micro timeframes, the shelf life of it is also very short. So the edge one would have is not to write it up for months, rather for the matter of hours. So please take that into consideration as a base, thesis of the rest of this video. Are you ready to get some Bitcoin? Let's get it. What you're seeing on my chart is what my Discord community and YouTube Cryptillion tier are looking at and tuning into when they want to check Bitcoin price on my live chart. And I will go ahead and put on bare naked price, take off my labels here so we can see what's going on. If you want to pause the video and see what all that was, then we'll go back to it. All right, but for general purposes, this is the top of a micro channel going back about 70 days. This is the top of a macro channel going back about 300 days. So they're both very important pieces of information. They're pretty close to each other within, within 1.5%. But they are slightly different, very, very slightly different. This orange line bears more weight or holds more water than anything, happening on this line, whether support or resistance. The support and resistance for both of these is a bigger deal at this orange line, if I'm making sense there. But right now, price isn't really interacting with it. But these thresholds will come into play. So to the downside, let's start off to the downside. I'm getting ready to explain thresholds for that. You can actually, maybe I will throw the label back on. So the the daily 10 EMA. You can kind of ignore my ribbons right now, but the daily 10 EMA is that threshold. So this orange line, the daily 10 is sitting around 19.2 and change. You can see the price here. If price goes below it and use it as resistance, and then finally goes below the top of the micro range, this green line, those three things. One goes below the daily 10. If that happens, it has a strong chance of bouncing here. Then it has to get rejected, all right? As number 2, get rejected from the daily 10. And then number 3, go back below this point here. In that case, then you're going to have a micro time frame edge to the downside. But how much price action you get out of that might be pretty limited, because what's right below there that I was just talking about holds more weight. It's the top, so the top of the macro range that goes back from the 69K top, so it literally connects with it, right? Or the 69K top is in that in the range that is developed from this, going way back when. But I'm zoomed in on the 15-minute chart, so we can only see like 2 days of price action. But so the distance down isn't that much; it's only about 2%. But what could happen is another one of these is you have 2 monthly wick lows from June and August, something to that effect, maybe either July or June, or I don't know which one it is. No, it must be July and August. So July and August monthly candle wick lows are this box. One is here, one is here. And what might happen is if those 3 things that I just mentioned happen in specific regard to the daily 10 EMA and the top of the micro range, I would say that price might want to overshoot this orange line, sitting around 18,700, and hit more specifically this 2-month wick low before it finds support, almost exactly as it did back here. See that? Will it make the same play? I mean, yeah, very potentially. This looks like a very, very, very similar setup of what just happened the other day with going above the daily 21 per my alerts and the video I made just like over here on YouTube saying it's getting ready to go interact with the daily 21, expect a bull trap, right? But it did go about $200. So I thought it was going to be a a failure pattern just above it. It went $200 higher than my specific target, but it was, at least I gave a little bit of warning. And I did not on a personal basis. So sometimes when I do things right, I showboat, but also when I mess up trades, even though my analysis was good and I shared my analysis with the world, but I didn't trade it right. So I definitely did not trade it right. So I try to keep things fair, mixture of showboating, and when I mess up, I try to let you know. All right, I'm not just somebody who posts, a 500% trade on 50x. No, I'm not going to do that. I'll let you know when I screw up. And also, if you want to join the Discord community, I also let them know when I make big boo-boos, and I describe to them how I did it, what mistake I made, so they don't follow those same mistakes, and they can watch out for it. Links to the Discord community in the description section. My Twitter handle is Cosasverdes with the number 2 afterward. I post some bomb charts and crypto thoughts on there. And if you wanted to check out the YouTube tiers, there is a join button right next to the subscribe button down below this video, and a 90-second video will pop up with pirates and skeletons, and it'll tell you what you get there. So right behind me, I've covered to the downside. Now let's look at the potentially more exciting stuff to the upside. All right. So before I do this, the shelf life of this is, I can't stress this enough, is going to be short. Just like so if I could scroll over, this price action going up over here, it was short-lived. See this? Very short-lived. I think something similar is about to happen, right? I don't anticipate continuation all the way into next week, but the shelf life could be, it could be a whole week. But I would say that's about as long as the shelf life for these upside initiators would be, because on a midterm time frame, like on the scale of weeks, I'm still strongly bearish. I think new lows will be made this calendar year or early 2023. And there's really not a whole lot of reason to feel that that's not probable yet. To the bulls case, though, all the people out there on Twitter said, the bottom's in. I will give some credit to that. The probabilities of the bottom being in, they are increasing. And I've covered that on my channel, why, on several different angles. But the one most notable is Bitcoin has been outperforming the stock market, and rather aggressively, the last 35 days. And if a bottom's going to be in, knowing that the stock market is not done going down, Bitcoin has to separate. And the early signs of separation are Bitcoin begins outperforming rather aggressively in a strong trend the stock market. And it is. It's just not... It's not strong enough of evidence right now that it becomes probable the bottom's in, but the chances are increases. Like, it's definitely double digits now, strong, and maybe even up to 20%. Previously I was thinking single digits, but so the case for that is increasing. And if Bitcoin does continue to go up, I mean, I still wouldn't flip probabilities until Bitcoin goes over 25K. So if Bitcoin can get above 25K again, I would say it's 50-50. That the bottom's in. But until that point, I don't think it's probable the bottom's in. Am I making sense there? So that is all context for what I'm about to show you to the upside for all of you, in your heart that just want to be bullish or are bullish on things that are going up, like Quant, XRP mostly, Uni, what else? There's one more going up that my VIPs told me about and we were talking about this morning. But if you're one of those folks, just realize the shelf life of this is, it could be very short. And if it is a week long, it doesn't mean the bottom's in, even from a 50-50 standpoint, in my opinion, until 25K is hit. All right, so that's the context for what I'm about to cover, because I don't want my words, to the upside to be taken out of context, as I still think new lows will be made this year. All right, very simply, look what's on my chart. If the daily 21 is broken, and it looks like it's gonna be. This shape right here, the way this here, let me take off. So now that you know what all my label stuff is, so the yellow is the daily 21, the orange is the daily 10, okay? All right, see that? All right, let me take all this off. Nice naked, well, not totally naked price, but price with a code on it. All right, so this is the weekly 10. This is the next pit stop, because the horizontal that this hit, actually it was above a horizontal. It actually took out, so the horizontal was here. And it took out the liquidity, because this is just a whale game. Like, it just took out stops and liquidation points. That's all it did before it went back down. So this area in the middle has already been hit. So if this is passed, this move up is likely not going to stop here. It's very likely to do one of two things. All right. I think it's more probable that this area is hit just around 21K. But since this is whale game mania, whale game time, it might do a strong failure pattern above it to take out all the people who are trying to short there. Because if people are trying to short here, then if they're high leverage, then their liquidations are essentially buy orders, right? Which allows whales to take on more sell orders and short higher before they tank it by selling on spot price, just like they did here. They literally, so there was a big horizontal plus a big EMA. They took out the high leveraged liquidations, which I had a little bit in play, which is what happened to me. You know, I didn't bet the house on it, but I had a position on high leverage, and then the low leverage stops. So that's in those stops and liquidations allow them to enter more shorts. And so the same play might happen. What happened here, it goes awkwardly above both. So if you look left here, there's a horizontal right here. And if you want me to show you that, it's right here. See that horizontal with this point here, support here, wick here, support. So all this, okay, this horizontal, see how it went awkwardly above. Oh, I just got rid of it. But it went awkwardly above it to take out all that stuff. The liquidity up there from everybody trying to take on shorts, including myself. And I did not play that correctly. So the same thing might happen. So if an awkward failure pattern happens above the weekly 10 EMA, it could go as high as 22K. That makes sense on a percentage basis. Let's see how awkwardly above 3.5% from the weekly 10. Where's 3.5%? Enough to get that. Yeah, let's say 21.7. The same play, the same concept, the same way whales are going to be able to take on a short up higher before they sell on spot, because they already know they can move price. So if they can get price up there, at least to here, then all the stops and liquidations will take it up even higher from a cascade. They have their sell orders up there, enter the shorts, and then they sell stuff on spot to make their positions in profit. And that's about as high as what they need to get is 21.5. So maybe 22 is a little high, but 21.5, 21.7 would be that awkward area in which that same game plan that big players, that whales just did with the daily 21, that would be the target for, that would be the target if the same play were getting ready to happen, which honestly, this shape right here, it really looks like it's going to leg up. Okay, and so the reason I'm saying that, even though I don't give trading on my ribbons outside of the VIP tier, this gray blue cross, I could see one more test like this, but that would actually help it go up. I mean, hell, going down would actually help it go up. Like this gray blue cross makes it pretty probable it's going to go up. It's actually, honestly, I'm thinking about taking that trade right now. This is not financial, but I got to go to a soccer practice, so maybe I can do it on my phone. Once I'm there, if it doesn't take off before then, hopefully it doesn't. But yeah, so this is actually this is a trade so not financial advice. Personally, me, it's very probable that it's at least going to spike above this yellow line. I'm not saying it's probable it gets to this line. And I'm getting ready to show you the second case. So I've already showed you the downside case, which is not in play yet, right? But I showed you when it would be in play going below. That's how I started the video off, going below here, the three things. It has to do three things before you have an edge to the downside, right? Okay, but the edge to the upside is this. It's just this line. Like, it is, even if it comes down and tests the daily 10, until it breaks below and meets those three things, I think the edge is still to the upside, right? So the edge to the upside is now. But if you don't finesse things, just realize that, a move down here, 1.6%, can boot you out, stop you out, liquidate you on high leverage, before it goes up. It could easily happen. So it's not always easy to long this, but it kind of looks like it might go boom, boom. Yeah, it kind of looks like that's about right. Ready to happen. So the second most likely thing outside of an awkward failure pattern above the weekly 10 is a 45-degree angle to this. What tool am I trying to find? My brain is not working. Oh my goodness. Okay, maybe it's just hidden. Oh, this. Okay, I couldn't see it. All right, here we go, right there. So it could just do a fake out to the upside and then aggressively go down, and that would have have Bitcoin beating its head on 20K. All right, just a normal lower high 45-ish degree angle somewhere around 20K. And I think that those two targets are probable. So my three most likely targets are, and again, it could go straight up to the weekly 10 and get rejected. That does happen a lot. So these are my three targets to the upside: 20K on the nose, 21K, and then somewhere closer to 21.6, 21.5. But I'm favoring this one and this one. As of now, I think those are the two most probable price paths. Number 3 is this, and number 4 would be the way I started off. It starts breaking down, goes below the 10 for the 4th most likely price path. Please be aware that one of these 4 price paths is very likely going to play out over the next 48 hours. And I let you know which ones I think are most probable. So this one and this one, I don't know which between those two is most probable, but those are my favorite. 3rd favorite, and a breakdown on the 3 steps, how I started the video, is my 4th favorite. But really, they might be pretty close to probabilities of happening. Fairly close. It's not like, 35%, 35%, 20% and 10. It's not necessarily that skewed or that favored towards one or the other. But these this one and this one are my favorites right now, and all the reasons why. Please be careful if you're trading out there, because right now order books are thin. Retail and just normal people aren't trading this shit. Not even Bitcoin. The only things that are happening is that very expensively made, a lot of R&D work, a lot of smart people, mathematicians, statisticians, whatever-ticians, like charticians, making algos to essentially take your money. That's all that's happening. So the only way to make money is to anticipate what they're going to do to take other people's money and trade with them. That's the only way to do it. But over time, you really can't. Over time, in thin order book or thin float, small float, if it's highly driven by algo bots, you can't compete with it over time. So just realize this is a good time to kind of lay off how much capital you're putting into each trade, because they're just the algos can whip around Bitcoin price within a 10% range easily, relatively easily, because it's not being traded by other people, which would influence, their risk assessment on how far to take things or how easily it would. And since their risk assessment is nearly zero, well, let's fucking do whatever we want with the chart. That's pretty much what's happening. So be careful. It's a good time to take it easy on leverage / margin and futures trading right now. Click this video right here if you want to see, or this playlist if you want to see the most important crypto videos I've ever made. And I don't know what I'm going to put here, but it might be cool to watch. We'll see you next time. You got Timified Worldwide. Peace out.